Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight's video is going to be a little different. I'm going to chat with my buddy Alex on some recent fishing trips that he's done here recently. Alex competes in little different fishing tournaments within the area, and he recently fished Dale Hollow along with Gunnersville, and so I'm going to chat with him about those two fishing trips, and then he's going to talk a little bit about his next fishing trip. And so if you never fished in a BFL or fishing tournaments as a co-angler, this might be a good video for you, as Alex kind of talks a little bit about what all he has going on and his experience. And so stay tuned. Hey Alex, thanks for joining me tonight. I know you're new to the channel. Actually, I want to say you're new to the channel, but you actually did a few videos with me when you came out to Percy Priest.
Hey guys, Alex. My channel is Alex Roberts Fishing. I film some pond content. I film tournament videos. Try to put something out almost every week. I've been pretty good about that, so we're going to try to continue that moving forward.
Yeah. Alex, I know you enjoy fishing as much as I do, but I feel like you enjoy the tournament series a lot more. I think you had a pretty good finish last year, right?
I did, yeah. Fishing with the Birmingham Bass Club down in Alabama. I was the co-angler of the year, so that's the top overall spot on the co-side. Had a great year, man. Fished with a lot of good people. Had some good fellowship. That's what clubs are about to me. It's as much as the tournaments there are fun. It's all about friendships and building fishing community too. So a good finish was just a bonus to all that.
Nice. Congratulations on that. What about the BFLs? Did you do that last year, or is that something new for 2022?
So I fished the Alabama Bass Nation last year. Had a really fun time. Qualified for the state championship. And just decided that as I was moving to Tennessee, I wanted to try something a little different. So this is my first year doing BFLs. I'm fishing two divisions. So I'm fishing the Choo Choo and the Music City.
I want to say, was your recent tournament out in Dale Hollow? It seems like you had a pretty good finish out there.
It did, yeah. I finished 22nd. It was the Music City BFL on Dale Hollow this past Saturday. 22nd out of 200. Hard to ask for better than that. So it was a good start to the year.
I mean, that sounds like a lot of boats, and I feel like that's a pretty solid finish. You know, as you were preparing for that tournament, like for the guys that don't know what it's like to fish in a BFL as a co-angler, maybe just at a high level, you can kind of talk a little bit about that and how that works.
Yeah, so to me, your success in a tournament, it really depends on the relationship between you and the angler. So before the tournament ever starts, to register and to guarantee your spot, you got to link up with someone. But that doesn't guarantee that you're actually going to fish with them. So that link is not necessarily a link for the tournament.
Gotcha.
You get drawn on the night before, on the Friday night, and you're sent a text with your boater's phone number, their contact information, their name. So normally what I do is pretty much as soon as I get that, I'll shoot them a text, say, hey, you guys, you available for a phone call? Can we chat for a second? And you kind of get to know each other a little bit, get to feel out, what style of fishermen they are, how experienced they are. How experienced I'm not at this point. And so you start that relationship, kind of talk about, if they've been pre-fishing, what are they on? What are they not on? What are they feeling good about? If they haven't been pre-fishing, you just kind of talk fishing and figure out what you guys like to do. So that's really the first point of contact. You decide what time we're going to meet at the ramp.
Yeah.
What does your boat look like? Like, how do I find you in the morning when it's pitch black? So there's a lot that goes into it. That's besides all of the tackle prep and the thinking and the map studying and all of that. So,
gotcha. So yeah, so the Dale Hollow Google page, it looks like it's made by damming up the Obey River. Dale Hollow Lake looks like it's just northeast of Nashville there. Yep. And one of the things I noticed that when I fish Dale Hollow is that there's just a ton of various creek arms.
Yes.
And it's very deep, right? So, like, I feel like right after the shore, like, you can see the shore. And then if you're 10 feet from the shore, it's like 50 feet deep. And then it just gets deeper as you go out. You mentioned fishing Alabama. I feel like that's got to be a lot different than what you're used to, right?
Yes and no. So, Dale Hollow is a classic Highland reservoir. Deep, clear, rocky, steep bluff walls, steep banks, run-ins, creek arms. So when I think about all those things, I think about Smith Lake. So it may be different than most of the lakes in Alabama, but it actually is very similar to Smith. So it doesn't necessarily fish the same way, as Smith is primarily spotted bass, and this is more about smallmouth first and largemouth second.
Yeah.
So it fishes similarly, but it's definitely a challenge when your bait goes into that invisible zone in about 2 seconds. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like preparing for that, I feel like as a co-angler, like you want to make sure you bring the right tools, but you don't want to bring like 10 rods and like this huge duffel bag of like tackle. So, I'm assuming you chatted with your boater or angler some, kind of figure out how it's fishing, and then from there just kind of prepare tackle accordingly.
Yeah, yeah. So that's part of it. You can also do your own tackle prep a little bit. If you've got things that you're confident in, things that you're familiar with, things you feel good about. For me, that's a crankbait a lot of times, and luckily with that, it's versatile. So I can pack a crankbait that'll go 20 feet and a crankbait that'll go 1 feet in the same box, and
Nice.
and that really helps me be ready for whatever we're going to be fishing.
Gotcha. Did you take in like seasonal pattern into the equation? You said it was just a few weeks ago. I know spring is upon us. Did you feel like those fish were starting to push up shallow? Do you feel like they're more on those deeper ends?
No, they were shallow. We caught pretty much all of our fish in 3 foot or so, 3 to 5 feet.
Wow.
Just grinding on wood. So those fish this time of year, to me, they want to get up shallow and do their thing. They want to get up there and spawn and get that over with and do that. But whether it's the weather or the length of day, something holds them back. Always. So they were in pre-spawn and they were up on that wood, but it really allowed us to hone in on that bite.
Now, one of the things that you might hear about YouTube from other YouTubers is talking about like fishing wood with a crankbait. A lot of guys like square bills, and as it reflects off wood a little bit easier. Did you find that to be true, or do you use more of a traditional rounded bill crankbait?
So it's kind of a hybrid. I've got it sitting right here.
Nice.
This is the Spro Little John, if you can.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah.
So this is a pretty popular crankbait, and it's nothing new. This is nothing secret, but as you can see, it's not necessarily a square bill.
Yeah.
It's a circuit board bill with a little bit of bend to it, and that helps it deflect a little bit. But the other thing that I did to this bait was I actually used a Norman speed clip on the split ring up at the top here. And what that does is it adds another pivot point to the action. And so this bait's got its action as it's swimming down the wood, but adding that speed clip allows it to actually have a secondary action on top of its usual swimming. So to me, that helps you climb down those trees. And if you dig into a branch, you can float back up and get around it. And if you watch the video, you'll see that's how I got a lot of bites. So
nice. I think we talked a little bit about Bass Talk Live, and I think like on Thursday, Frank Scalish is on there. I know he's a big fan of the speed clips. Was that how you got introduced to him?
It is, and Frank is awesome to listen to.
Yeah,
he's a great wealth of knowledge. I love listening to him. I don't use speed clips for everything, so a speed clip in this instance adds action. It's always going to add action pretty much, unless you attach it right to the nose ring there. But if I'm finesse cranking, if I'm throwing a shad wrap or something like an OG Slim, something flat sided, I don't necessarily want to add action to that. If I'm focusing on something that's a little more finessey, I'll just tie straight to the ring on the nose there.
Yeah. And so for the new people that like don't understand like those movements, do you feel like that shad wrap and those flat sides, the reason they work well in this time of year is because of the water temperature, and if you look in the water, nothing's like going really crazy in the water, and so maybe that's why those like subtle finesse type baits work well?
Absolutely. You nailed it. That's all you can hope for with a springtime bite. And you'll get bit. I mean, obviously this is not necessarily a finesse crankbait. It is flat-sided, so it still has a little bit of a subtle action, and it's not as loud as a traditional square bill. But it's just a different action. It's just something different.
Yeah. So that was Dale Hollow. Like switching gears now, we're going to talk a little bit about Gunnersville Lake, and I feel like that's a totally different fishery as it's fed by the Tennessee River, and it gets dammed up to become Gunnersville Lake, which I think is known for grass. And I want to say that probably took place in like February, right? And so it was probably still really cold then.
Yeah, that was maybe the coldest tournament I've fished so far, and I've only been doing this for a few years, but I believe it was 25 degrees when we launched the boat with 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. So it was chilly.
Yeah. Going in, knowing that how chilly it was gonna be, how did you like prepare for that? Like, did you layer up, have some hot little packet thingamajiggers, some good gloves, or besides from?
Yeah, I mean, having the right clothes is obviously important. Layers are important, but also how you introduce those layers is important. So when I first get out of the vehicle and step out into the cold, I'm not going to have every layer on. I want
Yeah,
my body to acclimate just a little bit to the outside temperature so that when I do put more layers on, I'm actually improving my conditions, not necessarily getting out with everything on and then I just get colder from there.
yeah,
It may just be psychological, but it helps me.
nice. So, we talked a little bit about catching fish on Del Hollow by cranking. What did you was y'all able to find a pattern pretty quick on in Gunnersville, or did y'all take a while to find a pattern there?
Yeah, so the pattern was there, but the fish on Gunnersville were moving a whole lot more than the fish on Dale Hollow. I feel like it was still earlier in the year. It still qualifies as pre-spawn, but it was a lot more of a winter pattern where they're not going to move quite as much. There are not as many fish moving around, so we were cranking. But the only fish I caught was on a jerk bait, and I think I paused it for probably 5 or 7 seconds. So it was definitely not the same bite.
Yeah. That's got to be tough, right? To throw out this crankbait, jerk it a few times, and just let it sit. Especially for those power fishermen.
Absolutely, but what I've learned, I've caught fish pausing it for 10 seconds,
Yeah.
and you'll hear people who will say that you don't need to do that. They have their own way of doing things. I got mine. That's in the dead of winter. I've had fish where I'd pause it for 10 seconds, and then as you lean into them, you finally feel that there's a fish on there. So
Yeah.
everybody has different ways of fishing jerk bait, but you gotta vary your cadence based on the time of year and the bite that you get.
Makes sense. Now, how did you finish up on Gunnersville?
It was a tough day of fishing. So I caught one fish for 314. It was a good one. If I would have had 5 of those, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But I think I finished in 75th, and it was just a really weird day, man. If you watch my video, you'll see on the way back, we were unfortunately hitting it by another boat running back to the ramp. Guy just didn't see us, so it was a really good, important lesson for me. Keep my head up, be a second pair of eyes, watching at all times, wear that when you're running, just being careful, because until you get that sort of reminder, it's really easy to be lax about safety and having a great time and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah. So for the people that are still watching, like, what tip would you want to give them as a co-angler, like just to make sure like you're paying attention to be a set of eyes for the boater, and because if you saw that boat coming, like, yo, you need to like slow down or something, or
yeah, so you're not going to be able to prevent everything. There was nothing I could have done. That guy was going way too fast, and his co-angler actually had his head down when he was running like this because he was cold. And we've all been there trying to brace yourself from the cold, but I've never really been one to do that, and this really reinforced that need to be, whether you're running after a rainstorm and you're needing to avoid logs or just being aware. It's always good to have another set of eyes. So
no, that's a great tip. All right, so we talked about your 2 tournaments this year. When is your next one, and where is it at?
So I've got one this coming Saturday. It's Alabama Bass Nation on Logan Martin. So that's on the Coosa River, just outside of Birmingham. We're heading down there in just a few days to go catch some spots.
Nice. So is that lake known for spotted bass, I'm assuming?
It is. Yeah, it's on the Coosa chain. It's honestly probably my least favorite Coosa lake, to be honest with you. But it's still got good fish. It's a very condensed area of where people like to fish. If you go upriver, it's a little bit more dangerous. I've never done that. And if you go downriver, there's just not that many spots. So not that many areas to fish. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like a lot of the people that like follow my channel, see me mainly catching largemouth and smallmouth bass, which I feel like the spotted bass, I feel like their behavior is a little different. I don't know if you want to elaborate or know anything or want to talk about that, but that might be interesting for them.
Yeah. So spotted bass are much more prevalent in Alabama than they are in Tennessee. You can still catch them here, but the fisheries down in Alabama are legendary. Yeah. They're, Alabama, California, some in Kentucky. Now, when I talk about spots, most of the time I'm talking about Alabama spotted bass. So these live in the Coosa River they're a different strain of spotted bass. They're incredibly aggressive. They get big, and they're very fun to catch.
Really?
If you watch the recent MLF tournament on Smith Lake, those are mostly just regular Kentucky spotted bass. And you saw the guys struggling to bring them in, and then it'd be a 112, a 2-pounder,
Yeah.
and it fought like a 5, just because they are vicious. But as far as behavior goes, they prefer deep, rocky water. They prefer clear water. But when it gets muddy, they'll get up in there and feed in it. And it can be a blast throwing a buzzbait or a big crankbait or a top water. So they'll feed very aggressively, but they roam around a lot more than largemouth do, especially on a blueback herring lake like Smith, and they're fun to catch.
Yeah, because I feel like like largemouth, they're more like you'll find them around wood or rock and shallow, hiding under stuff, and I feel like smallmouth are in deep rocky lakes like Dale Hollow, but like you're saying, like those spots, you feel like they roam a little bit more. They like that clear water.
They do. They like that clear water. They like structure in open water, so points. Yeah. Brush piles, big rock piles, those are a great area to find spotted bass, but they'll still relate to structure, but they definitely prefer that clear water.
Gotcha. So knowing that, what are you currently thinking for this tournament? I imagine you already got some sort of game plan. Again, you don't have to give out all your juices, but if somebody's new, fishing BFLs and trying to prepare for different tournaments, like maybe a tip or two on how to prepare.
Yeah, so I'll spend some time, even though I'm not a boater and I'm not going to be making all the decisions on the water, I still want to be informed about the lake. So I'll sit and look on Google Maps and just look at the lake. Yeah. Look at where we're launching from, glance at where am I going to park? Yeah. When I got to back that boat in, where am I going to park? Where am I going to park my vehicle? These are all things that the morning of I don't want to be worrying about. Yeah. So as much as I'm studying the lake, I'm also going to look at what's going on around it. But I'll probably spend some time looking for spawning pockets, places I think the fish might be pushing to, and then kind of work my way out towards the main river from there. Yeah. Docks are going to play on Logan Martin. Now it's low right now. It's at Winter Pool, so you're not going to be able to fish every dock that you see. But if you use Google Earth Pro and look back in the time, you'll be able to find a picture that has that water at this Winter Pool level, and so you can find docks that way too.
Nice. That's a good little tip there. And then just last item before we go, I know the BFL that I fish, I just feel like it's a super long day, and it's important to probably like stay hydrated, because as I fished, it was like July, August, super hot. So make sure you drink plenty of water, and then like you have like a favorite snack or anything that you've learned over the years, like this is something good to bring on the boat. It's easy and to eat and gives me energy.
As far as hydration goes, I use Liquid IV a lot, which is just a supplement, a hydration multiplier. And so you don't have to drink quite as much water, but it helps you stay hydrated. And that's very important to me. I can't focus if I'm worrying about that. So as far as a boat snack goes, I love Cliff Bars. They're, got some carbs for energy, you got some protein, so you're not thinking about being hungry. They're super easy to take on the boat, easy trash to keep organized and throw away. And they're super efficient. So that's what I'm all about.
So, Alex, I think enjoyed our conversation, man. I think you've given me some good things to kind of think about as I fish these different lakes, and hopefully people are still watching and were able to pick up a tip or two and learn some stuff, and also being entertained. And so before we close, you want to make any plugs on your side? Like I said, you had a fishing channel, and so I'll let you have the last remarks there.
Yeah, I'm pretty new to it. Just started making videos in the past month or so. But I'm really enjoying it. I have fun making them. Some people enjoy watching them, so I appreciate the shout out there. It's just Alex Roberts Fishing is the channel, and I'm also on Instagram as Alex Roberts Fishing. I try to post there every week as well, and just keep everybody informed on what I'm doing. So appreciate you having me on.
All right, no problem, Alex. All right, folks, that's all we got going on for today. If you enjoyed tonight's content, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comments. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.